Havertz and then.
They say the devil makes work for idle hands, and it certainly did there. I accidentally pressed the wrong start.
I think you're on mute now.
You're
Kieran.
mute now. He's having a mare, isn't he? God, what's...
I had a great start there. I had a
He's
great
having a mare
as well. I was like, they say the devil makes work for idle hands. It certainly did there. I was messing around in the back. I've accidentally pressed the wrong start. I've clicked go live by like we're here now. We're here. It's the final. It is the final countdown. Manchester City and Arsenal, the two horse race for the Premier League title. We've got Kevin Parker and Steve Kay. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, very good, mate. Thank you.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, nice and relaxed. It will be what it will be.
We will see. We will see by the end of next weekend by the end of tomorrow how relaxed you are. I don't think it really makes any difference for you lot now. I think I think you go down to the final game of the season no matter what. And it only depends on Arsenal. So Man City are fine.
Yeah. I must say though, like I do feel more comfortable now. I feel like sometimes I felt a little bit inferior to sitting with Kevin in, you know what I mean, on the shows. Do you know what I mean? There was always that, you know that sort of looking at him as if to say like you've got this and you're winning this, and I was like the one. But now I'm sort of like I'm feeling more comfortable. Feeling like nearly on terms.
You think you're in the right company? You think you're in the same company, Steve? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's it. Yeah, I feel more like in his presence. Do you know what I mean? I feel more comfortable.
I'm sure Kevin will have something to say about that. Maybe a couple of league titles missing to be in the presence of Kevin Parker. But we're going to get started now. Arsenal won on the weekend. City won on the weekend. They kept the pressure on as well. Arsenal kept the pressure on and left the ball in Manchester City's court. And did they absolutely smash it back? A 5-1 victory on the weekend against Wolves. Kevin, did you expect anything less?
No, not really. Listen, I think I don't know whether it's better to play before or afterwards, to be honest with you, because obviously when Arsenal are playing before us, we're hoping they're going to drop points. But then I suppose if we're playing first at the weekend, that we will be hoping to put pressure on Arsenal. So I don't know how it works, but listen, I was of the 4 games that we had left before Saturday, Wolves was one of those that you wouldn't really be concerned about, to be fair. I don't think they're a bad team, Wolves, but they've had a run of injuries. The coach wasn't on the sideline on Saturday because he'd been sent off, so he was up in the boardroom seat somewhere. And listen, it's funny because Steve and I were chatting a little bit on WhatsApp between the Arsenal game and between the City game, and of course there was a little bit from me winding Steve up and saying I look forward to a few of those dodgy VAR decisions. If we can get some of those that Arsenal got, that will be great. And then after 15 minutes, Steve sent me a message to say, "There you are, you've got one." So. Once we got that first goal, it was never going to be in doubt, to be honest with you. I think with all of these games, it's that first goal, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think both Arsenal and City are good enough that if they get the first goal, then generally you would think they're going to go on to win.
Yeah.
Arsenal don't look like conceding goals. I think I suppose the thing with us is we've got a goal to concede in us. Now, when we're conceding it at 3-1 up, that's all right, to be fair. But if we're conceding it and we're going to 1-0 down, then that might shake the foundations a little bit. But no, I was comfortable that Wolves was going to be a positive result. That was probably, of the 4 games we had left, that one and West Ham, you would probably think of the 2 that we don't need to over worry about.
And the big one coming up next, away to Tottenham. You've had trouble against them in the past, but Tottenham have been on really, really poor form recently. Do you feel
before Tottenham, we've got Fulham on Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, you have. Yes, you have. On the 11th, you have got Fulham.
Is, on the Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Listen, Fulham have dropped off a little bit. I think at the start, I think they beat Arsenal, didn't they, earlier on in the season? So I think Fulham at home are not a bad side, but they've dropped off recently. I think I heard something this morning that they've only won 2 out of the last 9 Premier League games.
Yeah,
so they have dropped off a little bit. I think that happens. If you've got nothing to play for, if you're clear of relegation and you've no European place to play for, one of 2 things happen. You either drop off or you totally relax and just can play the fluent football that you can do, knowing that you're not under as much pressure.
Yeah.
Fulham have it in them to play good fluent football, but I would think again, it's a game. I think you're right, Kieran. I think that the tricky game for us is likely to be the Spurs one, despite the fact that they've just lost 4 Premier League games on the bounce. You know, we've never won a Premier League game at their new stadium. I know we won there in the Cup earlier this season. They do have a little bit of an advantage over us mentally, perhaps. But the most important thing is to get Fulham out of the way first, and then, of course, it'll be glory Man United for one day, won't it?
So you hope. Steve, big win on the weekend. Nice and easy for you. Was there any worries at any points in that game?
Yeah, there's always worries. Thought Bournemouth played well. I thought they did play well. I think they're a really good football team. They've had this season, at times good runs, all through the season, on and off. They was on one, when we come up against on the weekend. I think they had won their last 2, and look, they're a very good side. They're a very good side, and they play for some good football, and and at times they cause, especially Gabriel, some problems in the match, but. Coming off the, giving Bournemouth the credit, I thought that some of the football we played was outstanding again. We could have been again, like quite a few games since the Villa game, and really apart from the Villa game, really, because apart from that, through the whole season, with since the turn of the year, we've looked, like Kevin said, like not letting goals in and scoring goals for fun, and it was pretty much the same again the weekend. We have to get. I agree with Kevin. Once you get the first goal, you feel that that's more or less game over, and you feel comfortable. And it was pretty much like that. Kevin was right. We did have a chat about the penalties, but banter aside, I thought they were both penalties. I thought they were both bang on penalties. I thought the Man City one was a bang on penalty. People can pick into it, and the same with the Havertz one. You can pick into it, but look, we've seen Harry Kane do that, make a career out of that getting that type of penalty, and when he does it, and also Jack Grealish. But I think it's clever.
Jack doesn't get in the box often enough these days to get
not these days, but it is their thing. And most of the time, what you do, you get the, you'll get the commentator or the co-commentator. Oh, Harry Kane, that was clever. He left his foot out there. Brilliant. But again, I don't know. If it's an Arsenal thing, it always seems when it's Arsenal or something, there's some kind of moan or groan, or everybody wants to talk about it. But and Crystal Palace just scored against Man United. Just to throw that in.
At least say for Crystal Palace there.
But and again, sorry. And again with the Man City one, I thought Declan Rice's one, it was the same thing the following week. Geezer come from behind, and took him out. People say he didn't see him, but it was a penalty. Took him out. So I ain't got no worries there. But we looked strong, mate. We looked strong. Havertz again. absolutely outstanding again. Rice, I mean, was incredible. I don't know what more. I haven't got any more words to say. I think I've used them all up on Declan Rice this season. I mean, we knew how good he was when he come, but this geezer's just going up the levels every week. It's just unbelievable. He was unreal on the weekend. But look, as Kevin said, look, it's all about the next few games. It's going to be tough. Keep looking at that Villa game. Now. Looking back at that, and that could be the one that trips us up, because I can't see any of us losing them at the minute. Although, we're both playing teams who can win, who could beat us. Beat us. It's awkward because you got the Tottenham game, and you've got the Man City game, and even none of them would want the other one, or want to stop the other one from winning the title. I mean, Tottenham obviously will not want us to win it, and Manchester United, the majority of the fans will probably not want City to win it, because once City if City do win this title, then for me, Pep Guardiola is the greatest manager that there's ever been, and Ferguson's gone for me, without any shadow of a doubt. And to win 4 titles on the spin, that dwarfs anything Man United done. So, yeah, they've got an issue on their hand, haven't they? What they want to do. People keep going on about Spurs, but yeah, we did our job. We did the business. In the end, it was an easy win, and now we move on to Manchester United.
Kevin, we see Haaland bag 4 goals this weekend. Is it the perfect timing for him to get back onto form, because he's dropped in form over the last few weeks, and he's just started to pick it up again now?
I know he's only 4 goals clear in the Golden Boot. It's not a great season for winning this season, is it? Listen, I think the injuries that he had, he was out for 12 games. I think that's what he missed while he was out, and he's a big unit, Erling Haaland, isn't he? And I think the mobility is the issue when you've not played for that long, I think. He came on at Forest and looked all right, changed the game a little bit because they were a bit more concerned about him, scored a goal. And again, Saturday got an early goal, a penalty, and you could see his confidence, rise after that. And sometimes as a centre forward, it just falls for you, doesn't it? I thought the header was magnificent, to be honest with you.
Yeah, cross back, cross goal.
It must have been 9 or 10 foot in the air. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I had Colin Hendry with me on Saturday as a guest at the game, and we were talking about Erling Haaland before the game, and we were sort of saying he's probably not an overly physical type of centre forward, really, Erling Haaland. He'll have those battles with centre halves, but I don't think he gives as much as he gets in those scenarios. But actually, on Saturday, he was the opposite. He was quite physical. The challengers went in. Rose great for that header, and the 4th goal. Right, nice and easy team goal. Ederson to Foden, a great ball to Haaland, lovely touch, and turned it in. And especially at the point it wasn't going to happen, but they just scored, hadn't they? To bring it back to 3-1.
Yeah. And
within 90 seconds, Haaland scored to make it 4-1. So yeah, he wasn't happy when Pep took him off, but I don't mind that really. I want players who want to play for the team. I don't want players to be happy to be taken off. I want them to want to play 90 minutes every game, and I want them to be fired up. So hopefully taking him off on Saturday will keep him fired up for when we go to Craven Cottage on Saturday.
Roy Keane called him a spoilt brat. Do you think that was a bit unfair? Off the back of the comments where he called him, said his play outside the box was that of a League Two player.
Yeah,
harsh comments coming in.
Listen, there is this thing between Roy Keane and Alfie Haaland, isn't there, going back all those years? But I think somebody posted today, Roy Keane's a 53-year-old man.
Yeah.
And Erling Haaland is really a 23-year-old, not boy, but do you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
just a lad, isn't he?
Yeah.
You forget that. Just calm down, Roy. You know, I mean, and also somebody made a point that that he was acting like a spoiled brat. Roy Keane was the one who left the Irish national team in the lurch at the World Cup and went home. So I don't dislike Roy Keane, to be honest with you, but he seems to have this personal thing now about Erling Haaland because of the old Alfie Inge Haaland thing. I think he just needs to let it go. I don't think he's coming out of it particularly well, to be honest with you, Roy Keane. And I think he just let it go, Roy. It's no big deal. I don't think he was a spoiled brat. He was a frustrated footballer who'd scored 4 goals in 60 minutes and wanted to score 5 or 6. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I agree. Just sticking with what Roy Keane's comments, Steve. I think that was harsh, first of all, about calling him a spoilt brat, and off the back of what Kevin was saying, he's just a hungry footballer. And then secondly, off the comments where he said that he was played like a League Two player outside of the box.
Yeah, I agree with what Kevin. Well, apart from one thing that Kevin said, which I'll get to. But yeah, I think he's an idiot. I think the comments were totally bang out of order. I just don't. I'm sure that there wasn't one person out there, unless you're the ardentest of the Roy Keane lovers, that would have agreed with anything that he said. I mean, I just don't understand. Well, I think I do understand it. I mean, he's obviously don't play no more. And he's a manager who's a useless manager. Let's get it right. I listen to him most weeks, and I disagree a little bit with Kevin, just due to the fact that I just think he talks total nonsense every week. I just don't know what he's talking about half the time. I stare at the screen, listen to him, and think, what are you on about? And just come to the conclusion that he's a guy who can never get a job in actual football anymore, and the only thing he can do is be a pundit and get attention from people online, and that's the only way he can make a living. And that may sound harsh, might sound a bit over the top, but I genuinely think, for someone, who else would come out with something like that about someone who's a 22-year-old, like Kevin said, who's has taken not just the Premier League by storm, but world football by storm in scoring the amount of goals that he has. I just think he's just, all he's done is just seeks attention. He's found he's got an opportunity to say it, and he's just said it. And he got him a few clicks, or he got him into a few newspapers. So if that's his bag these days, then good luck to you then, Roy, if that's your thing. But I thought he was totally out of order, and I just think he should shut up, because he's just making himself look like a bit like an idiot for me.
All right, and another player who's come back into the Arsenal team and hit a bit of form was Thomas Partey. And in contrast to last season, at the tail end of the season, both Thomas Partey and William Saliba were out. William Saliba put a solid performance on this weekend. Looks fit and ready to finish the end of this season. Again, perfect timing for Arsenal, Steve.
Yeah, see, look, this is the difference from last season. I mean, a lot of people said, okay, we're bottled. I'm not someone who goes in with the word bottle. People are trying to bring it up again this year, but again, that's mostly fans who have got nothing else to play for, who are trying to save their season by sort of keeping relevant. By saying stupid things like bottling with 2 games to go in the season. It's just ridiculous. But it was thrown at us last year. As I say, I don't like the comment anyway. But what you've just said there, we had 2 of our main players last year who was integral to what we was doing in the earlier part of the year. Adding on to that, obviously, Jesus, who was flying, before Christmas, before his injury. In William Saliba and Thomas Partey, and it's no excuse this year. We talk about little moment, little things, that can take you over the line, and it's no coincidence this year that Saliba's there been all season, and we've got the best defence in the league. By quite a distance. And there's also no coincidence now that where we fell away last season, we've got now Thomas Partey in for the back end where we never had him last season, and we're okay. We lost against Villa, which he never played in, but as soon as he was brought back into the side, we just kicked on, and even to like a higher level. Because he allows Declan Rice to do things that he wasn't doing early in the season. Sometimes Rice was playing in the 6, sometimes Havertz was playing in the 8. It took a little bit of time, but we're definitely Arsenal's best side is with Saliba in it and with Partey in it. And as you say, it's all small thin lines and whatever way you want to call it. But them two have been integral now. To be matching City. I genuinely believe we've matched City all the way this season. We're at a situation now where we put City have to win all their games. That's a fact. They have to win all their games, and you can't ask no more than Arsenal. And I think having Saliba and having Partey in there has allowed us to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin, Man City have set a bar which is like no other Premier League team has set before. Do you think that people see this now as the norm, or is this the exception with Pep as manager, or do you think this is the standard?
Listen, I think it's massively. Listen, we've got some exceptional footballers we have, but I think Pep just manages to do it again and again and again, and he changes it slightly, and I mean, you've just been talking there, Stephen, and I don't ever use, from a City point of view, I don't ever use injuries as a defence because, Premier League clubs, certainly the top-notch Premier League clubs, have squads that are big enough to be able to cope. You don't have players who are as good as Saliba, I agree, but you have other players. But from a City perspective, we've not had John Stones or Diaz now for 3 or 4 games, but Pep just manages to work it. Akanji and Ake have been unbelievable. They have been unbelievable to the point where Stones and Diaz were on the bench on Saturday. They couldn't get Akanji and Ake out of the team, which is absolutely right. You've got to be loyal to your players. In saying that, he won't play them again on Saturday. I'm sure he'll rotate it a little bit. But what Pep manages to do just change things slightly. We're watching a different. The concept is the same, but we're watching a different type of football now than we watched when Pep won his first title, and how he manages to do that, I don't know. I mean, if you think that some of the players that we've lost during the Pep era, Kompany, Aguero, David Silva, Yaya Toure. They're 4 players who were magical for this football club. But we don't look at this team, and never at any stage do we think it'd be great to have Yaya in that team, or it'd be great to have Aguero in the team, because Pep's just managed to be able to tweak the system slightly to accommodate the players that have come in to replace them.
Yeah.
And we're blessed. Pep's contract runs out at the end of 2025.
You're a worry there?
Well, all City fans will be hoping, of course, that he renews and extends his contract. I think it will all be down to how soon, not the result, because we're very confident that we're going to win the case, how soon the 115 charges are dealt with. I don't see that Pep will leave the club while the 115 charges are still hanging around the club. I think he's determined to be part of the club when whatever happens. Of course, the club themselves are confident that they have no case to answer. But once that's dealt with one way or the other, there is a strange thought process that says he's more likely to stay if we don't win that case than if we do. Oddly enough, because he'll want to fight the system. But as things stands, he's going at the end of 2025. So, and it will be different then. It does happen, doesn't it? You know, as well as we're a fantastically set up football club. And I think the way that we've got the youth system, you know, they're in the Youth Cup final again this week, as well as we've got the whole system at the club set up fantastically well and the different football clubs. We've seen what happens to clubs when managers of note, you know, leave. Look at what happened to Manchester United since Fergie left. Liverpool had, you know, a fantastic run of managers, didn't they? And then it just went a little bit pear-shaped. And even Arsenal, to a certain extent, I think, you know, Arsenal hung on a little bit too long. I think most people would probably think. And it took a little while for them to get over the whole Arsenal thing, because Arsenal was Arsenal. And Unai Emery, actually, who's proved himself to be a very, very good coach at Aston Villa, he's got Aston Villa into a position that I would not have thought they would be in this season. But it didn't work for Unai Emery at Arsenal, did it? But that's possibly because you're coming in on the back of somebody as prestigious as Arsene Wenger, and that's tough. So whoever comes in to replace Pep, it's going to be tough for them. It's going to be very tough.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to keep up with City. I mean, just like on what you said about last season, Kev. I think this season's different. I mean, last season, you look back and I think, you can see more clearly where we couldn't compete with you. You know, but you said like you can bring players in and you don't have an excuse with injuries, and I get that. You are right, but City can bring in ridiculous players last season. They can get an injury and bring in a Weldy. Last season we had to bring in Rob Holding, Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah, that's the difference you've made. I mean, it's funny earlier you talked about.
So there is a difference.
No, you're right, and you talked about Partey before. The difference this year is that he's backing up, an excellent footballer in Declan Rice. So if Partey has been injured, but you've not missed him really.
No,
he's there now, and he's a great bonus to have at this stage of the season. But you're not. If he'd have been fit, he wouldn't have been forcing anybody out of that team, would he?
Not in that area of the pitch. Not in that. But there's other areas. Do you know what I mean? You get. You need not just injuries, don't you? Sometimes you need to refresh. Yeah.
Yes.
So last season, when City last season was able to refresh their team, right, and bring in, they bring in who they bring in. Right, Arsenal couldn't do that. They couldn't refresh, and if they got an injury, they had to bring in someone of miles, not just slightly less quality,
you're right.
but a lot less. So this season's totally different. Different. You got, we've got players like Jesus sitting on the bench and Chinko sitting on the bench. Timber ain't even got a game yet. You got Smith Rowe sitting on the bench. And you've got players who can come on. At this back end of the season. And look, I think one player I'd like to just really give a big shout out to who's similar to your Alvarez is Leonardo Trossard.
Yeah.
He is our Alvarez. Last year we never had an Alvarez. We always used to talk about Haaland, and we used to talk about, you got Alvarez as well. We've got Trossard now. We've got Martinelli on the bench, because Havertz just came in and proved everybody wrong, apart from me, of course, because I knew from the beginning. But so it's just different this year, isn't it? We're stronger in all areas, and you can look at our bench and go, well, those players sitting on their bench, apart from probably Man City or Liverpool, they were probably starting every other league side in the Premier League. So. Yeah, it's.
And I think we probably had these conversations last season. I mean, of course, I like Zinchenko because there's a certain passion about him, but he's not good enough. And
defensively, he's weak.
And I like Jesus because he helps pressurize teams.
Yeah,
but you're actually now using Zinchenko and Jesus in the same way that we use them. They're not starters. They're not starters.
Yeah,
but to have them on the bench with all that experience, and the one thing you can guarantee is that when they come on, they're fired up. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. The mentality that maybe they've got under Pep is when they're given the opportunity to come on.
Yeah.
There's no sulking about them.
No, they're not.
They want
No,
to come on. They
that's
want to
right.
fight for the cause. They feel part of the whole squad.
Yeah.
And actually, for me, that's one of the positives about Arsenal this season is that you've signed 2 squad players from City, and they went in the first team. And the reality is, whilst they helped, that wasn't what you needed. You needed those 2 squad players at City to become squad players at Arsenal. And now you've managed to do that because you've strengthened the team and you've got magnificent football.
I think we needed them, Kev, at the time. I think we needed them to do what they did.
I think they gave you belief and they gave you all that experience.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
they got us to second, and do you know what I mean? That's what, when you look back. Look, I love Zinchenko, I love Jesus. I don't want them to leave. I want them to be part of the squad for the next 4 or 5 years. I don't want them to go. We need players like that. You hear a lot of Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, this sell Zinchenko, sell Jesus." Well, if Arsenal are going to do that, we just forget about the process going forward and competing with City in the next 3, because we can never get anywhere like that. But at that time, when they was bought from City, they have certainly done the job.
They brought up the level of the team.
Brought up the level of the team.
Absolutely.
But look, Kieran will probably tell you as well. Havertz just brings something different to what Jesus does, and I don't know what it is, but goal. Yeah, but it's. I mean, the Havertz one is something for the future. We've got to see how it pans out. But at the moment, he's proving to be like a top striker, and I never even thought he was going to be that top striker. But again, I just want to point out to with Zinchenko and Jesus, although you think, well, maybe they're not the 2 that will take us to win, eventually lift the title, on a regular starting 11. They're integral, and they've got to stay. And people have got to realise how important they are still to this team going forward.
You need that quality and that that experience as part of your squad, because it's not a. You're right. It's not an 11 or a 12-man game these days. It's more than that. And actually, I was watching a little bit of Sky Sports before I came on tonight. I don't normally, because Carragher's on there and I can't stand him. But to be fair to him, he was making a comparison with Havertz in the Arsenal team, and he was comparing the sort of role that he does for Arsenal is very similar to the Firmino role. And actually, even though I don't like Carragher, I think he's pretty spot on there, to be honest with you. For me, Liverpool have dropped off definitely. Liverpool have got great attackers. They have, but what they don't really have in any of those is that absolutely 100%. Give me the ball. I'll go anywhere. I'll put pressure on. I'll run back. I'll come forward. That Firmino had, and I think Havertz offers that as well. I do. Listen, it can't be easy for any footballer, no matter which club you play for. When one, you come at a high price, and 2, you feel as if you've got to justify that price, despite the fact that he scored the winning goal when Chelsea beat City in the Champions League. So, so this is a player with pedigree that plays for his national team, that's helped Chelsea win the Champions League, and he still feels as if he has to justify himself. 2 things. First of all, he's not shown that. I think he's just got on with it. And to be fair to Arteta, he stuck by him as well. It could have been quite easy for Arteta to have taken him a little bit out of the limelight, but he's not done that. I think Arteta has stuck by him. Arteta has shown his belief in Havertz, and because Arteta has shown his belief in Havertz has repaid that faith. And what more can he do? I mean, he's currently on form. He's been magnificent, hasn't he?
Yeah,
has been top draw. Steve, but back to the bar. The Man City have set this high bar. Do you think that people feel like this is the standard now?
Yeah, I think. Well, I say the standard. I'll say no, because I think that what Man City did last season just will never be done again.
But you have to have a near perfect season to beat City to the title.
Oh, I see.
Which is something that you didn't used to have.
Yeah, no, you can't afford to make slip ups anymore. You know, especially why City are on. I mean, whether City will go on and be better than this next season or come a little bit. I don't know. To be honest with you,
I think the bad news for you is I think City fans think the fact that we're still in this race is quite amazing, because we have not been at the levels that we usually are. I mean, we might win the Premier League. If we win the Premier League, I think we're going to win it on 91 points, is it, or something?
This is what I mean.
Whereas previously, we've won it.
Yeah.
We've won it on 100. We've won it on 98. We've won it on 96. So there is an element of. Excuse me. There is an element of. But listen, our early start to the season sort of killed us, because we haven't lost a game for 31 games. You know, we're unbeaten for 31 games. So. If you're hoping that, and listen, it could go anyway this season. If you win the league this year, and you may well do, if you're going to win the league this year, you will definitely be competing again next year. But City aren't going to go away, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt. I'm convinced now that we're here to stay. I feel that we're only going to get better. And I'm sure City are going to get better as well.
I don't think particularly you need to get better, to be honest with you. I mean, Arsenal do play.
I can't see anybody else but City and Arsenal battling out. There's nobody who I can see underneath City and Arsenal. Last season I had a sneaky thing for Liverpool. I thought, but this year, next year, we'll see what happens in the window and who they buy and who goes there. But from what I'm seeing from Liverpool, I'm certainly they're nowhere near what Arsenal and City have got. So, but look, they are the standard. City are they are the standard kids. They are. I mean, I'm not one for the points, and now I've got so much this year, so much different seasons, different players, different teams. Some teams are better than others. This 97, 96, 95. That don't mean nothing to me. You just got to battle it up against who you're up against, and every season's different. You've got to calculate. It's all. We got 101. We got 101. We got 96, but you only got 92. I never heard so much nonsense in all my life, to be honest with you. You know.
Does that mean that? Does that mean that the Invincibles isn't really a thing, though?
I don't know. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many points they got. I don't know.
Actually, they got in the 80s, didn't they?
No idea. Yeah. They just did what they needed to do, and sometimes when it gets towards a certain part of the season, results and performances.
It's a little bit strange actually, because if Arsenal win the league this year, they'll win it on 90 points, I think, which will be more points than the Invincibles won the league on.
Yeah. So this 90 points is it's only a real thing that I've noticed since Pep has really.
Yeah. How do you compare that? How can you compare like Arsenal now with the team in 2004 and then say
you can't? I suppose really.
You can't. It's ridiculous.
But I think it's more about the points. In that, I think you're right, Kieran. I think that whole competitive thing between
60
and Liverpool,
20-year gap,
raised the bar. I mean, Liverpool ended up with 97 points, and they lost one game, and they didn't win the league. That is crazy. Just ridiculous.
Yeah. But what were teams like in those years? Were they better? Were they worse? Were they more compatible? Were they not?
I don't understand your point, though, Steve. What's your point?
Oh,
2-0 to Palace, crikey.
Yeah, 2-0.
My point. I don't. How can you compare seasons?
I'm not comparing seasons.
No, I'm not saying seasons. I didn't say you was. I didn't say you was. I'm just saying. I've seen people recently keep putting up points against this season and that season. What does that mean? What does that mean? How do you know? Can you remember what our teams were and how they were competing against others 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and what
No,
achievement.
no.
It's
Football was
ridiculous.
completely
Don't-
different
don't-
then anyway. Football's
don't make
I
completely
don't
sense.
think.
different. It's a lot more.
Listen,
It's a lot
I don't
more.
think Fergie. I don't think Fergie ever won a title where he got more than 90 points. I don't
Exactly.
think he did.
Exactly. So do you compare?
But the thing is, the level has been raised now by the consistency of the likes of Liverpool and City, and now
Yeah.
Arsenal. To be fair, you know that they're helping raise the bar, and that is why you've got the likes of whatever he's called, Gold somebody, that United, the one who does talk sport.
Oh yes.
Who's saying that the football league, the Premier League is boring now, you know, and there's only, and that's very disrespectful, by the way, to Arsenal. He said there's only one team in it, you know, City are going to win the league every year, and it's a one-horse. Hold on, 3 games to go, 2 games to go for Arsenal. It's wide open.
Exactly.
But because City have won 3 on the run, and they might win 4 out of, they might win 4 on the run. They forget the fact that Manchester United won 6 out of 9. No, they weren't calling football boring when United were doing that. So,
I mean, it's been 3. When was the last time we had a title race that's, you know, and I'm going to say Liverpool were in a title race this season. You know,
were in a title race. It's only dropped off a couple of weeks ago.
So when was the last time you had 3 teams fighting for a title at the end of the season?
it's been a while, yeah.
It's been a long while.
Just talk sports.
So Arsenal, to be fair to them,
that's all they're doing, trying to get phone calls.
In an odd way, Arsenal have sort of it's almost as if Arsenal have done more damage mentally to Liverpool than City have this season.
I think they have. I think there was a lot of expectation that it would be Liverpool and Manchester City, and I think Liverpool fans expected that as well. Once they were on a really good run of form, just swatting teams aside, and that defeat against Arsenal just derailed them. I don't think they've been the same since, and it knocked the stuffing out of them. They've not really recovered from it, and now they're 5 points behind. I think at the time they're about 3-4 points ahead of Arsenal. So
I mean, they're an odd. I'm not just saying it just because Farrell's not on tonight, but they are an odd bunch. You know, I've read a few articles. I mean, Liverpool fans hate Pep, absolute hate Pep. They do. It's fair enough, you know, it's a personal opinion. But now I've started reading articles that Liverpool fans are really pissed off, if I can say that, because Arteta might end up winning the Premier League. And they don't think Pep is as good a coach as Klopp. And they certainly don't think that Arteta is as good as Klopp. Yeah. And now they're really upset that 2 managers who are not as good as Klopp, one of them is going to win the Premier League. They are a little bit deluded, to be honest.
They are definitely hurt.
Yeah, well, Klopp's had to build up. Not being funny, but Klopp probably had to build up over the last few teams a worse team than Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? So, what has he won? 3 trophies in 9 years?
4, I think, maybe.
Yeah, he is a good manager.
He's won each of the trophies.
He's not Pep though. He's not Pep.
Well, I don't think he's Pep, but you know, listen, I've had this conversation. I did some conversation with somebody yesterday. I think it was. I did a podcast for somebody else, and sorry about that. And they were talking about Pep and Pep's legacy. Pep's legacy. Listen, Pep is not going to be around as long as Fergie was around at Manchester United. So he's not going to be able to win as many trophies as Fergie did. Although he's not doing a bad job of getting close to him. Pep's legacy is the brand of football that he's brought to England. Yeah. If you think about Fergie, you think about trophies. Yeah. Fergie didn't leave a style of play behind him. He didn't. Whereas Pep, you look at any football now, Championship, League One, League Two, non-league, they all play this football. The goalkeeper's got the ball. They want to play it from the back, you know, play it through. So that is what Pep will leave, I think. And that's probably a better legacy for football than the legacy that Fergie left by winning trophies. And that's not putting Fergie down, by the way. You know, you don't stumble into winning as many trophies as Fergie won. You have to have something about you. But I do think that Pep.
I think they just
Well,
hate, don't they? I just think Liverpool fans hate to think that someone's going to come in and break that Klopp, that what he's done over the last few years. I just don't think they like it.
I think Liverpool fans thought this season that Arsenal would fall away, and that it would be Klopp competing with City, and especially when Klopp announced he was leaving, they thought it was written in the stars.
No, I didn't think. I thought it would go the other way. If anything,
They did think
I just thought it would backfire, and it has.
Yeah, I think you're right, Kieran. They probably stayed in the title race longer than possibly even they thought they would do. It's only the last week, 10 days, isn't it, that they had a couple of results that made them fall away from it.
I think the difference between with Liverpool,
good show.
They were sort of like they were the Arsenal the Arsenal of last season. This season, they done a similar thing where you didn't really expect them to be there that long, and eventually they because of their team and because they was short in areas, they fell away.
They haven't been as good as Arsenal for the last 2 seasons, have they?
No, they haven't. But you can't.
And that's possibly that. Listen, that might have been part of the whole Klopp process. I mean, he competed against Pep for bloody years.
And now he's got Arteta.
And now he's got Arteta as well.
He knows Klopp. You're right, Kev. You're 100% right. I believe that Klopp knows that he can't compete with Arsenal now with that team. He's Salah and Van Dijk are coming towards the end of their careers. If anything, he looks at his team, that the players he's brought in. He's got Nunes there. Jota's now coming. I think he's like coming up to 30.
He's injured all the time now.
Most of their teams are youngsters. Yeah, he's injury prone. If you're Klopp, you look across. You look down south and you see Arsenal, and you look at Arteta and you see what they're building, and you can only see them going one way. You think, I'm getting out. I can't be asked.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's not just that. Look. You look up, you see Pep. You look down, you see Arteta. And then you look at your team and you see you've got 3 of your best players that are coming towards the end of their time in the Premier League at the highest level. Alisson is a goalkeeper. He's got a few more years than everyone else. Van Dijk is a centre-back, so if he changes up his game, which he already had to do because of his injury, so he's probably got a couple more years. But Salah, if you want to get some money for Salah, you've got to sell him next season.
It's got to be this season, hasn't it?
Exactly. You've got to sell him in the summer. So, and that's a massive... That's a massive change. They've lost Mane, they've lost Firmino, and that was his 3 stars: Mane, Firmino, and Salah.
Yeah. And the whole Mane thing, I think, has left a legacy that's really, really a negative one.
I think
maybe what started to set in at Liverpool when Mane went, and the negative impact it appeared to have on some of the Liverpool players as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think that was just for me. That was a crazy decision to make.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters if Van Dijk and Salah stay. I don't think it makes any difference. I still don't think they can beat with Arsenal next year.
No, but you're not listening. You're not heard me. This is not about Van Dijk and Salah staying. This is about the age of those players and them competing and playing at that highest level.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
No, you said it don't matter if they stay or not. Before
that, I said they've got a load of youngsters that and he ain't going to want to build that. You can see that Salah and Van Dijk are coming to the end. Jota's coming towards the end. He's getting injured. So yeah, it's more or less the same as what you just said.
Yeah. He's got a big job to do, and he hasn't got the stomach for it, basically.
No, he hasn't got the stomach.
No, I don't blame him either.
I think it's. He's probably listen. He's been at Liverpool for 9 years, and he's fought. And we just talked before. He's missed out on 3 league titles, and I had this conversation with it, and this is quite crucial. I think last season I was telling you.
Why are we talking about Liverpool anyway?
No, we're not. I'm not talking about Arsenal in the strange way. Last season, I was telling you the most crucial games when you're going for a Premier League title are the games against your nearest rivals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last season, we beat Arsenal twice, 6 points. I think we finished the season 5 points ahead of Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
And Liverpool just can't compete in those bigger games now. When 4 of the 5 titles that Pep has won against Liverpool, in each of those seasons, bar one, if Liverpool had beaten us in one of those head-to-heads, they'd have won the league those seasons, not City. And there's a lot of fuss made about City's poor record at Anfield. The reality is that City did win at Anfield during the Klopp, Pep era. It was during COVID, but they won 4-1. Klopp's not won at the Etihad in those games when he's played against Pep. And I think he's just looked up and thought, I can sort of cope with Pep, because I've sort of got, I sort of know how to compete, and if we can just change one or two things. And what's crept up on him, he's looked over his shoulder, and that Arteta's staring at him. And I think he's just thought, let me go and do this somewhere else.
Shot this. I'm going Real Madrid.
So with you saying that, Kev, about you got to beat your rivals. So Man City win this with 4 points off you this year. I always had this argument with you that it was nonsense.
So that's exactly the point,
right? If you win it, we've beat you. And 4 points. Where's? I've always thought that's nonsense.
No, but the difference is 1 point. The difference is 1 point, Steve.
So
the point the difference is 1 point. So if we win the league this year, and you win your 2 remaining games, we'll have won it by 1 point. So actually, it probably won't work against you, but I think, and it might still work out for you.
Oh yeah,
I still think that when Arsenal came to the Etihad, they should have come to win that game.
I think if
they'd have lost, come to win that game. If you'd have won that game, you'd be the team that if you won all your games would win the Premier League.
No, you. I mean, if you lose, let's just say you don't win the league, Kev. Let's just say you don't win it, right? Let's just hypothetically, let's say you don't win the league. In 2 weeks' time, Arsenal have won it. Where have you lost it?
By not beating you at the Etihad. And if you don't win the league, where have you lost it?
Not against you. We've got 4 points.
Aston Villa.
No, but the difference 100%. The difference is when you're playing against
100%.
It's a double header.
100%.
If we'd have beaten you, we stop you from getting that extra point. If you'd have beaten us, you stop us from getting that extra point. And
but Kieran's right. It's Aston Villa, mate. It's not you.
No, it's not.
It's Aston Villa. It's Aston Villa. It's Aston Villa, mate. Arsenal fans will
only because that's your most recent loss. Only because that's your most recent loss.
I get the 6 point thing where you're taking points off the team that can't. But I'll always look back to the games that we should have won, the games we dropped points against Fulham. It might not be Villa because you're gonna drop points in one of them games.
Yeah, Fulham is probably a bigger one.
We've got 1 point of Fulham this season when we should have got 6 or at least 4.
I don't know, right? I don't know. Because I've seen so many title races, things have changed at last 1 game to go. So it's not. This ain't put in stone. But I'm pretty sure if we would have beat Villa, that we win the Premier League.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and that would
if you'd have beaten us, you'd be winning the Premier League.
No, but that was a good result against you. We got a point against you.
I do feel like the point against Man City has been understated by a lot of the football world.
Yeah,
and I don't want credit. That's not what I want. But I think even you're underestimating.
No, I'm
Kevin.
not.
I do. I think you're underestimating the level that City have at the Etihad.
I think it's a great result for you in a way. But if you end up not winning the league, you could look back and think those 2 points. You'd have had 2 more, and we'd have had 1 point less.
Yeah. But it won't. Arsenal fans won't be looking at we drew at City. What a disaster.
Yeah. I can't.
Do you know what I mean?
I can't look at that and think
They
I
are the
can't.
crucial games.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Not as
But
crucial
if we
as
would
the
have
Villa
lost,
one,
if
mate.
we would have lost,
Last
if
season
Arsenal
we
would
beat
have lost,
Arsenal twice. We beat
yes,
Arsenal twice last season.
yes, and now you've only got 1 point of Arsenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
one.
I can't because this has been the thing since we drew at the Etihad. I can't think going to the Etihad and getting that point was
As a one-off game, they were magnificent and a completely different Arsenal team than we've seen all season.
Yeah,
and I must be honest. I thought based on that performance against City at the Etihad, they might have gone on and got to the Champions League final because that is the type of game you need to play in the Champions League.
Yeah.
I thought when I saw them, I thought, wow. And actually, I think Real Madrid learned a little bit from your performance at the Etihad. I think they came and played a very similar game. But we'll see.
It's not often we can say this, but Arteta sort of at fault. Pep at your ground.
No, but what Arteta's doing,
he went there and he fooled him completely.
No, but what Arteta is doing is each time he's learning. So you'll see against Porto, he went gung ho in the first game. They sat in, got the goal, won the game. He didn't do that in the next game. In the next game, he played it more like a game of chess. Against Bayern Munich in the first leg, he went a bit more gung ho. Didn't work. We're left too open. In the next game against Bayern Munich, again, tried to play it like a game of chess. So he is learning, and the same he's done at Man City, and the same he's done against Liverpool. And each time you're seeing progression, you're seeing him learn from the mistakes that he made in the last one.
Do you know what, kids? Do you know what? We all know he got it right, didn't we, at City? Yeah, we think he got it right. Tactics, the way we played. Yeah, we went to City. We came back. We was over the moon. On the flip side, right, Arteta got it totally wrong against Villa. Totally wrong. We come on here and done the post-match, and the first thing we said was, Arteta got it wrong.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what happened in that Villa game.
He decided to put Havertz back into midfield.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And put Jesus up front.
Yeah.
Right? And he brought in Zinchenko. Was like, what? What you doing?
Yeah.
Against Bailey and Diaby. Yeah. What are you doing? And we come on here like we knew. We knew.
Yeah. He got it wrong.
He made us so for us for people to say it was City, where if you would have got no way. It was we lose it.
Just on the one before we go, Steve, the narrative's already been written, as we've heard it many times before, especially last season. But people are already talking about if Arsenal don't push City to the wire now, they've bottled the league again. Do you think this is a fair statement to be put on Arsenal again? Well, once in a season where Arsenal are the only team that are battling City with 2 games to go, the term bottlers is being thrown about again.
Right, well, what can you say to these people? I just don't know. I've got to a point where I'm like, I haven't got the breath in me anymore because they either have never watched a game of football in their life, or they're on just a total wind up, or maybe they're trying to think like, maybe we'll get a bus parade, for stopping a certain club from us winning the title, i.e. Tottenham and Man United, because it's going to save their season. And and it's Liverpool fans, just because they're blatantly jealous and for some mad reason thought they was better. But no, look, we've already spoke about the bottom front. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. How can you bottle something with 2 games to the end of the season? And you talk about taking Man City to the wire, right? Is this not the wire? What's the wire? If this ain't the wire, there's 2 games left. We've made City with 2 games to go, the best team, the best manager that the Premier League's ever seen for donkey's years, if it's not the best, to the wire. There was a cigarette paper between the 2 of us, Arsenal and City. Kevin might disagree, but I believe it's that close now. We are that close to being as good as City. So how can we be bottlers? How could you bottle it? How can you turn around and bottle it? Football's, in football, you lose football matches. Whether you're prime Real Madrid, whether you're prime City, whether you're prime Barcelona, you can lose a football match. It happens, yeah? City can lose. What am I going to say City bottled the league if they lose to Fulham? No, because I ain't that disrespectful, yeah? And I'm not a knob, right? And I respect what players have gone through, and I respect what City would have done this season, even if we do win it. Stop being knobs. That's all I'm saying. Stop being a knob, because it's frankly embarrassing now. It's getting embarrassing. And if you want to carry on embarrassing yourself, please do carry on embarrass yourself. If Man City don't win it, you won't hear me saying about bottling it. No way, because I've got respect for this unbelievable football team. If other people want to say City bottled it, then let them fill their boots. But no, not for me.
All right. What's your thoughts on the term bottlers there, Kevin? Do you feel like Arsenal
Listen,
bottle
I
the
think
league?
at this close stage at the end of the season, where you've got 2 games to go, 3, but 2 games to go, I think it's just a simple case. Somebody's going to be finished first and somebody's going to finish second. I mean, and the points difference between the two of them means that there's no real difference between the two of them. And maybe we might differ on which game it is, but the reality is,
yeah,
1 game's difference between these 2 football teams, and you can't take a negative from that, for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Whoever I know it sounds a bit odd. Whoever wins the league from here will deserve to win the league, but that does not mean that the team who finished second is any less of a football team than the one who wins it, in my view.
Yeah, I think they're that close now. I don't know what Kevin feels. I as I said, jokingly said at the beginning of the show, not jokingly, I actually feel like a lot closer to Kevin now because of what my team are doing, and I do, and I genuinely do. And next season,
very close. I think
we're going to be even stronger next season.
Yeah, same here. I agree.
Well, if you win it, then I'm absolutely sure you will, because I think the club will back Arteta. So I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he's going to. I think he'll do that anyway.
And of course, you've got all the extra money coming in from the Champions League again next year, and building that up helps.
Yeah, we have. That is all we have time for. Thank you very much for everyone who's joined us tonight. Thank you for all the watchers. Make sure you come over to KS1 TV and hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah. And if you are new to the show, hit that share button.
A lot watching tonight. Thank you.
We've got quite a few people watching tonight. Thank you very much for joining us.
Have a lousy weekend, boys, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Cheers, mate. Pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Make sure you join us tomorrow night for the Arsenal show at 8 o'clock. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.